Hey guys, it's Gaz and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm making the most amazing Christmas centerpiece, yes, another one, and it's a recipe from my cookbook, Vegan Christmas. I'm trying to get as many tables across the world as I can to have a vegan Christmas this year, so I'm going to give you my recipes to make that happen, and I'm hoping you're really going to love these recipes. I do, so I think you will too. Today's video I'm making rosemary, mustard, garlicky, vegan beef. Okay, so it's going to be so flavoursome. This is the most amazing vegan beef meat replacement you'll ever see. So this recipe is on page 74. If you want a copy of my book, you can click the link below. But this video, I'm going to do another giveaway for your chance to win a signed copy of this book, Vegan Christmas, and my other book, Vegan 100, which is by there. So stay tuned to the end of the video to find out how you can win both copies, and I'll ship them worldwide and put a nice note inside there for the winner. This beef I'm going to be doing today is so umami, it's packed full of bold flavours like red wine, rosemary, garlic, mustard. It's so tasty, and it's a really simple recipe in fact. It is made with wheat gluten, also known as seitan, which is that ancient meat replacement that monks used to eat as a meat replacement years and years ago. I've sort of modernised quite a lot of wheat gluten recipes now and put my own twist on them. I've done vegan ribs, I've done steaks, I've done burgers, sausages, all things like that, and I think they're a great way to get non-vegans interested in a vegan diet, because when I first went vegan I was thinking, damn, I'm going to miss things like a steak or a sausage or things like that. And being able to recreate them using this product is amazing, and I'll continue to eat them and make them and help people when they're going vegan, so I think these are great. Anyway, let's get straight into the recipe. First up, we need to prepare the wet ingredients. To a ninja cup, add some vegetable stock, some dried mushrooms, a sautéed red onion and garlic, some cooked beetroot. So I'm adding some beetroot, and that's going to add a nice bold flavour, and it's also going to add a nice red blush colour to the beef, the vegan beef. Now I'm adding a lot of ingredients to the wet mix, and that's to overpower the natural flavour that the wheat gluten has. And if you don't add a lot of flavours, the wheat gluten will overpower it and it's going to taste not really nice, to be honest with you. So I'm getting as much flavour as I can into this wet mix. Next, add some cooked black beans, some tomato puree, some Dijon mustard, next some balsamic vinegar, for even more umami flavour, some miso paste. Next I'm going to add some Marmite. If you can't find Marmite in stores near you, just add some more miso paste. Next I'm adding some mixed herbs. For a little kick, some cayenne pepper. Next add some rosemary. Add some red wine. Next I'm adding some sea salt and cracked black pepper. So I've just screwed the lid on. We need to blitz this up until it's super smooth. Wet mix is done. This is going to be so rich and packed full of amazing flavours. Now it's time to do the dry mix, and I've got my wheat gluten and some chickpea flour, and I get this into my mixer. If you don't have a mixer, just get those ingredients into a mixing bowl, and you'll have to hand knead it for 12 minutes, which is the most important part, and I say this in every video whenever I make seitan. If you don't knead it properly, it's going to be so spongy and horrible. We want to get a nice meaty texture, so you need to knead it properly. I've upgraded now, and I've stopped hand kneading it because I've got the mixer, and I still knead it though in the mixer with the dough hook in there for 12 minutes. So let's get this going. To a mixer with the dough hook attached, add the wheat gluten and chickpea flour. You can find links below for both the wheat gluten and chickpea flour. I'm also going to be adding some nutritional yeast to add a bold flavour. So let's add the wet mix to the dry mix. If you can't find wheat gluten or chickpea flour or nutritional yeast anywhere, just click the link below this video and you'll be taken to a supermarket where you can buy it. Obviously you can't replace those ingredients at all for this recipe, it's so important. But I promise you it's worth going through the effort of finding it. And if you must have a local vegan shop to you, you'll find it there, I promise you. Turn your mixer on at moderate speed and allow the dough to knead for around 12 minutes. So whilst my beef is kneading behind me, I'm going to make a nice flavoursome broth to cook it in. And that broth is going to be so flavoursome that after it's cooked, we can reduce it down and thicken it up, and it will actually be a serving gravy to go with the amazing beef. So it's actually creating two beautiful dishes in one. We've got the gravy and we've got the main centrepiece. So let's make that broth now. To a large saucepan of vegetable stock, add some red wine. Add a bay leaf, some fresh rosemary, 1 onion chopped roughly, 3 cloves of garlic just bashed, and some miso paste. Bring the broth to a simmer. So the dough has been kneading now for 12 minutes. It's feeling quite dense and also quite elastic. And that's when you know it's been kneaded enough. So now we need to shape this into a nice roast shape, like I've done here in my book. And that's easy to do with our hands. We do need to, if you have mixed it in a mixer, you do need to knead it a little bit just to bring it together. So there we have a nice fillet shape. Doesn't look amazing now, I know, but the most important thing, the flavours are in there. And what I'm going to do to add it even more flavour, like I did in my recent no turkey Thanksgiving Christmas recipe video, another recipe from my book, I'm going to coat this in a nice rub full of amazing spices and herbs, just to sort of inject extra flavour on the outside of this vegan beef. So I've got a nice herb and spice mix that I'm going to coat this in now. Coat your surface in some herbs and spices plus salt and pepper. Roll the beef in the herbs and spice mix. So this recipe is a little bit long-winded, and I don't recommend doing this on Christmas morning. I recommend doing this recipe or making it in around 3 days in advance if you like. And the good thing about this, it serves around 6 to 8 people. It expands when it's in the broth cooking. And if you have any leftovers, I actually have some amazing recipes in my book to use up the leftover vegan beef. Things like kebabs, which I'll be showing you in a recipe video soon. What else do I have in there? Kebabs. Oh, an amazing crispy beef stir fry using this. And it's just an amazing way of using up the leftovers that you have often at Christmas time. So I'm going to wrap this up in some muslin now, tie the ends, and then get it in the broth to cook until it's nice and tender. You can find a link below of where to purchase muslin from. It's also called cheesecloth. If you don't want to buy it online, you can find it at all good cook shops. Wrap it up tightly. Twist the ends tightly, then tie it with string. You may need an additional pair of hands to do this tie-in bit. Don't waste any of the rub mix, add those to the broth. Right guys, it's time for our beef to meet our broth. Put it in there for an hour and 15 minutes until it's tender. The broth needs to come up 3/4 up the side of the beef, so if it needs more liquid, just add some vegetable stock or water. Allow the broth to only simmer for an hour and 15 minutes. Flip over the beef halfway through cooking. So guys, the beef has been in the broth behind me, cooking for an hour and 15 minutes. It is smelling incredible. I've just had a feel of it and it's feeling really, really tender, and it shouldn't feel soft. If it feels soft, you either haven't cooked it long enough, or unfortunately you haven't kneaded it hard enough when you were kneading it. Okay, so it needs to feel quite firm to the touch and nice and tender basically. So let's get it out now, and I'm going to show you what you need to do on Christmas morning prior to serving it. Remove the beef from the pan, then reserve the broth to reduce down into a gravy. Oh wow, this smells incredible. So if you're prepared and you've made your beef in advance and it's Christmas just before lunchtime and you're going to serve up your beef, this is what you need to do. First up, obviously, remove the muslin. And just so you know how to store this, if you pre-made it, just keep it in the fridge I recommend, as I said, 3 days in advance is enough time. So let's take the muslin off. Wow, literally, look at that, that's incredible. Now this can be served like this if you want. Obviously it's already cooked, so you can slice this, you can put this in sandwiches. But what I like to do is get this roasted now, and I'm going to smother this in whole grain mustard, some nice rock salt, some black pepper, then get it in the pan, roast it, get it in the oven, and then serve it up. And that just creates a really nice flavoursome coating on the edge. It's just so beautiful. One thing I will also say is you don't just have to do this. You can make this beef recipe into burgers, into steaks, whatever you fancy. And it can also be blitzed up when it's cold to make vegan mince. So it's a great recipe. I'm happy I came up with it. And it's also just so tasty. So I've got a pan behind me. I'm going to get it heated now, really hot. And we're going to first pan roast this before it goes in the oven. Preheat a pan over a high heat. Add a touch of oil. So my oven is set at 180 degrees Celsius. My pan is getting nice and hot. I've got the broth in this saucepan here. I've just passed it through a sieve and I'm letting it reduce down. I'm going to add some cranberry to it, and if it doesn't thicken up enough, what I'll do is just mix some corn flour with some water and whisk that in, and that'll thicken up into the most beautiful red wine gravy to serve with the beef. Honestly, this is incredible. So this pan is nearly hot now. Let's get that beef in. Whilst the beef is in the pan, spoon over some whole grain mustard. Right, let's flip this over. Wow, look at that. Let's get some more mustard on and create a nice coating all the way around it. Gotta get hot. Add a pinch of rock salt and pepper. Right, let's get this in the oven. It smells absolutely incredible, and I love how the mustard's almost caramelized and just giving this a beautiful coating. Add a corn flour and water mixture to help your gravy thicken up if you need to. Whisk it in. For some lovely sweetness, I'm adding some cranberry sauce to the gravy. Right guys, it's now. Wow, look at that. Did you see how juicy and succulent and tender that is? It's literally mouth-watering. I can't wait to give this a try, but what I'm going to say, for all the haters that are going to comment on this video, why are you vegan but you still want to have the taste of meat or texture of meat? I didn't go vegan because I didn't like the taste or texture. I went vegan because I don't like how meat gets my plate and the cruelty that goes into it. And if I can make cruelty-free versions that taste better and look better, are better for the planet, for my health and the animals, I'm going to do it. So yeah, that's why I make these meat replacements. And most importantly, this is so tasty. Well, I'm going to prove that fact now, but it's so tasty, and the recipe's in my book. So let's give it a taste. Oh my God. Oh my God. This literally proves that anything is possible with vegan ingredients. I'm going to make kebabs out of this. I'm going to do crispy fried beef with this, like a stir fry, and those recipes are in the book as well. Let's all have a cruelty-free Christmas. Literally, we can all make this. It's simple, okay? You can make this. Please do it. I'm so happy with this. It's so, so tasty. Thank you so much for watching. Enter the giveaway. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll be back next week with a new Christmas recipe video for you guys. Thanks so much for the support again. I'll see you next week.